Thank you very much, Atik. Dr. Pachauri, Honorable Secretary, Ministry of Environment and Forests, Professor Ian Burton, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies. As you just heard, for the benefit of those who are joining us this morning, we have had 7 days of various kinds of activities with over 300 people from over 60 countries from all the continents of the world in Bangladesh. The first 3 days, most of them, if not all of them, went on field visits to different parts of the country in 8 different batches, to the north, to the south, to the central parts of the country. Yesterday evening, they shared in video and photograph form the impressions that they had, and all of them had a very exciting and interesting time, and we've had some very positive feedback from them. It's an opportunity for them to see Bangladesh and get out of Dhaka, because the Sheraton Hotel and Dhaka City are not a good representation of this country. So the fact that you've been out of this place has been very, from our point of view, a very important part of the proceedings. We then had 3.5 days of conference, which was kindly inaugurated by the Prime Minister of Bangladesh herself. This is highly significant in the sense that this is a non-governmental meeting, and the Prime Minister normally does not come to such meetings unless they are government or her party events. But she very kindly came, despite, as those of you who are there know, she almost cancelled, but she decided to come in the end and graced the occasion and inaugurated the conference, which shows the support of the government of Bangladesh to initiatives like this on community-based adaptation in particular. And I'd like to gratefully acknowledge the support of the government of Bangladesh, without which we could not have done this meeting in Bangladesh. In terms of the content of what we have done and how we have tried to communicate that, I'll mention a few things that we have done while we are here. A number of people who went on the field visits and during the sessions have written blogs that have been sent out over the airwaves. They've been taken up by Reuters. They have been sending them out to thousands of people. There have been video logs being done. We have been doing live webcasting of the inaugural and plenary sessions. Indeed, this session is being live webcast as we speak. And all the plenary sessions have been recorded and uploaded onto YouTube. So if you missed a session and you want to know what happened there, you can still watch it on YouTube. These are all up on the website. We have also been putting up photographs, sharing those, and we are going to have a report coming out by Saturday from the Earth Negotiations Bulletin. People, the team, have been sitting on the side keeping assiduous notes, and they are very professional, and they will be working all night tonight to produce something by Saturday. And they're, as I said, very professional. And once they send it out, you will all receive the report, but their network goes to over 100,000 people. And that is a very, very large network of people who will be able to see what we did here and read what we did here. So that is a tremendous outreach, which we're very grateful to them for. Let me say a few words about what came out in the conference itself. We had 21 separate thematic sessions on topics ranging from what is CBA, definitions, methods and tools, communicating it, to looking at different sectors, agriculture, water, ecosystems. And then we tried to draw some lessons out, looking to the theme of this year's conference, which is scaling up beyond pilots. We have now lots of pilots. We need to be drawing lessons. And this conference, the 5th conference, in fact, marks a transition in the conferences that we've had so far, from one in which we used to meet and share information mainly of a descriptive nature of what different people are doing, very valuable to network and learn from each other, to now moving into a phase where we can actually be more analytical and draw lessons from what we have been doing and not merely share what we have been doing. And in doing this, this particular conference has actually, I think, also marked a difference from previous ones in that it has attracted a significant number of very well-known and senior academic researchers from universities, from the United States, from Europe, from Australia, from around the world and the region as well, who can apply their analytical rigor to the question of what is CBA and how do we define it and how do we measure it, which is something that the community itself is still struggling with and we need to think about. So that, I think, marks a transition. And in order to capture that analytical output, what we have decided to do with the cooperation of all the thematic session leaders for these 21 themes that I mentioned is to be very ambitious about bringing out a product which is not just a proceedings of the conference, which we've done in past years, but a much more synthetic and analytical book that draws lessons out, of which these session leaders with their other co-authors of that session will write up, and we hope to produce as an academic publication. We have the agreement of EarthScan, a well-known international publisher, that provided we meet their quality standards, they are willing to publish this, and our co-authors of each of the chapters have promised to deliver within the next 4 months a draft, which will then be reviewed internally ourselves. We will have reviewers, and then we will give it to EarthScan, who will then review it externally themselves. So the reason for going for this higher-end academic or scientific product is the opportunity that has arisen now with the ongoing 5th assessment report of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, which is due out in 2014. And we have Dr. Rajendra Pachauri, the chair of the IPCC, here with us, who will no doubt tell us a little bit more about it. But let me just say the following. This time around, we have 4 chapters on adaptation in Working Group 2, and significantly, there are in the outline, in the plenary approved outline, there are points for community-based adaptation. In the scientific literature so far, there has not been a lot of writing up on community-based adaptation, and we are trying to fill that gap by having a high-quality book that comes out, that draws on the lessons from this community in time to be cited by the 5th assessment report of the IPCC. So we have a very specific target, highly ambitious target in terms of the content of the work that we do, that we hope we can do. So I'm sure the volunteers for the chapters and the editors will manage to complete this task. So next year when we meet again, we shall have that product. Let me say another word about the issue of community-based adaptation and the definitions. We have a lot of discussions about what is community-based adaptation, how is it different from development or community-based activities or CBNRM or DRR or all the other acronyms that many people are already familiar with. Where we are moving now is that we are getting better at the questions. We may not have all the answers in terms of defining exactly what constitutes CBA, but we are getting better at saying what doesn't constitute CBA. And we are able to say that certain projects being presented as adaptation to climate change are not really adaptation to climate change. They're adapting to climatic variables, they're adapting to development challenges, they're adapting to vulnerable conditions, but they have not yet included climate change into their planning and into their activities. And unless they do so, they're not really adaptation, and in the community sense, community-based adaptation. I think we're in a position to be able to make that judgment now, and it's time for us to be making that judgment. The other major lesson that we have drawn here is that in order to scale up in both senses of the term, both the vertical scaling up in terms of decision-making layers from the community level to the local government level to the provincial government level to the national government level, and indeed to higher levels at global scale, we need to be linking with others as well. The communities can't go up those, but their views can be transmitted up those scales. So we need to link with government better, local government and national government, and we need to link with the global decision-making process, which on the climate change arena is in the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, where parties come together, and there is now significant activity going on adaptation, both intellectually and more importantly in terms of finances, which are beginning to flow from the global to the national, and trying to get some of that flowing to the community level as well. So a big advocacy task, linking up task between practitioners on the ground and higher levels of decision makers. And then the final element of what we need to do is to spread our knowledge. We have to be much better at communicating one community to another community, from the NGOs and other practitioners on the ground who are doing activities and supporting communities in doing their activities and drawing lessons out of their activities. So I'm going to end by showing you something that we have developed, which is based on previous work, but we have now taken it forward, and from this conference we are opening it up to all of you in the public. And this is something that we launched, in fact, 2 years ago at the third conference here in Bangladesh, called the Global Initiative on Community-Based Adaptation, which we are all part of. It's a very loose network. It doesn't have any structure. The whole emphasis is on giving it an umbrella term of the community and providing spaces for sharing knowledge and information. One of those is holding an annual conference. The other one is sharing our knowledge. And one of the things that we have done is we now have an adaptation layer on the website where we can collect information on community-based adaptation. We have a website that has now got over 1,000 examples of community-based adaptation on it. It's called CBAX. And now we're going to launch a new tool, which we are calling Community-Based Adaptation Layer, which will be put on Google Earth. They have given us permission to add the layer, and we are now putting it up. And so this is an example of what it looks like when you go on Google Earth. You will find place marks in different parts of the map. You click on one, and it will open up a box which will give you information on that particular project. So we are now in a position to invite you to give us the information on your projects that you're doing. We have a template that you have to fill up. We will upload them. We already have about 40 or 50 projects uploaded. We hope that very soon we'll have 100 and more, and by the time we meet again next year, we will have many hundreds of these. And these are something that anybody anywhere who has access to Google Earth can access. They just have to open it up, go around the globe, pick a country, pick a dot, click on it, and get information. The one that we are still working on, but we haven't gone live with, which I'll just tell you, and hopefully we will be able to do that, is to use the visual medium of videos. We have pilot tested running, preparing 3-minute long and no more than 3-minute long video formats to tell the story of a community-based adaptation. Where the community is, what do they do, what are their livelihoods, how are their livelihoods vulnerable to climatic events, and what have they done about it, and if they have any lessons about that, all in 3 minutes. It can be done. We have about a dozen pilots that we have run. Once we are sure with the format, we will again make that available, and those videos, short videos, can be embedded in the information on the Google Earth map. So when you click and it opens up a box, you can embed the video and watch a 3-minute video on that project. The videos we still have some teething problems with, we hope to sort out, but those will be up later. But the Google Earth is now up and running, and I'm very pleased to announce that, and we'd invite everybody to provide us with the information, and we'll upload it as quickly as we can. And the final point I'd like to make is to announce with great pleasure that we now have a venue for the next conference. The 6th conference on CBA, Community-Based Adaptation, is going to be held in Vietnam a year from now. Thank you very much.